going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. I swear it feels like a Wednesday, but it's a Tuesday. It's February 24th, and welcome on into the Ryan Ripken Show. Sorry about running a little bit late today. This is kind of not the norm, which I guess if you followed the show for a long time, Zach has a tendency to be a little bit late.
Yeah.
But in this case, we are trying to restructure. There's a lot. I just knocked over 2 or 3 things.
What did you just knock over?
Don't you worry over here. Just a nice little Yeti underneath. There's another one. But we got a lot of things that we're trying to plan out for 2026. We appreciate your patience, but stop traffic. We got 2 guests joining us today in a few moments. Now he's a retired NFL lineman and specifically retired Raven. Bradley Bozeman's going to join us. Want to talk to him about great NFL career, his memories throughout his time in the NFL. And then after him, we will talk to Scott Turner, former offensive coordinator, and give us a little bit more insights into Declan Doyle. Because right now the combine's going on in Indianapolis. And next year our plan is to be there. A lot of moving parts for right now. But want to talk to him about what he sees. And Eric DeCosta out there had some comments about salary cap, Tyler Linderbaum, where does he fit into the situation, and Lamar Jackson. So since we had Joel Corey on yesterday, we'll play some of those clips in here, and then we will get into spring training again. There was some comments made about Pete Alonso, Zach, that we should discuss and talk about. And then that and a whole lot more. And if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe on Ryan Ripken Show. Do this live Monday through Friday right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And I know baseball season's almost here, but we got to cover both here, guys. We got to cover football and baseball. But I promise we're going to have 6-7 months, actually more than that, Zach. We're going to have 8 straight months of baseball. And hi, Zach, by the way. How you doing?
You're going to get sick of us talking baseball. So, at this point, when we get a little break from it, we're going to take advantage, especially when we get some great guests. Just incredible human, Bradley Bozeman. But, yeah, excited. It feels like a Wednesday. It feels like a Thursday. I don't even know what it feels like anymore. But we got a fun show ahead. Some great guests, and just excited to get into it.
Yeah, it'll be good stuff. I can't believe, Zach, next week is March.
We are, I think, a week and a half now, I guess. Not this Sunday. The next Sunday is daylight savings, and then the sun is out at 8 p.m. again. Mm-hmm. And we're so close. It's you get that, and then the next weekend we got our bracket. Time's flying. Time is flying, that's for sure.
Yeah, you know what? Since it's Tuesday to start off the show, you know what grinds my gears on Tuesday besides traffic on the Parkway? It's when the spring, you get the tease. That warmer weather, you're excited, and then it hits you in the face and it drops down, and we have the snow and the rain and the sleet, and now we're kind of stuck in the middle again. I'm over it. If you get the tease of spring, let it be spring the rest of the way. Because you know what? I love snow. I love the seasons. At some point, I want it to be warm again, consistently. I want it. I need it. It has to happen. Maybe I do miss spring training a lot. I got to get used to that down south.
Well, we're also in that horrible time, especially in Baltimore. We're in that second winter, kind of like you just said, where you get that, 4 or 5 days of, hey, it's in the 50s. And you're we're feeling good again. Unfortunately, this is second winter. There's going to be a third winter. We're going to get another week of just beautiful weather. And then probably mid-March, we're going to get a few days of it being in the 30s, maybe some ice, maybe some hail, something. But they can never – Baltimore weather will never let us just get a clean break of gosh, it's March. It's, about to be spring. It's no, we got one more for you.
You think it's done? Well, buddy, guess again, because recognize where you are. But look, there's a lot of things that we love about Baltimore. It's not always the weather. There's so many other things, but a Baltimore summer and spring is fantastic. Baseball going, is phenomenal. And then when the fall comes around, Zach, and football's back, and it's that fall smell in the air, it is one of the best times, specifically in Baltimore. And I say it again, look, Baltimore is a great sports town. Great sports town. But for right now, we're not to that weather of those great moments yet. But come March 26th, there will be baseball in Baltimore. And then from there on, there will be professional sports, because soon enough, it will be September and the Baltimore Ravens will be back playing here. So, new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. And speaking of Ravens, thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk about now. He's been a former Raven, but now he's technically hasn't retired a Raven, but he is retired. And Bradley, give me a thumbs up when you're ready to rock and roll. Boom. Well, just announced on social media, I guess a couple days ago now, but now he's a retired offensive lineman. Let's bring on Bradley Bozeman. Bradley, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. Hey, welcome to retirement life.
I appreciate it. It's going pretty good so far.
So I'll ask it to start off, because for you, it's been an 8-year journey. I'm sure if we go back to the beginning, you might have never envisioned that you would have had the opportunity. But first thoughts here, as you reflect on your career, what are some things that you would have told a younger Bradley Bozeman coming into the NFL?
Oh, but just buckle up. It's just keep that same mindset, keep that same attitude. Just I've always been a grinder, and that's what my career's been. It's been a grind. So bounced around 3 different teams. Trying to showcase myself every single week, every single year. Just keep scratching and clawing to the top, and just trying to stay on that field. So, man, it's been a great journey. I've really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been so blessed with so many amazing people and so many just amazing opportunities and teams and everything else in between. So, I'm just blessed.
So take us back here. You were a 6th rounder to the Baltimore Ravens. What are some of the earliest memories you had into the NFL? Anything stick out to you? To maybe your welcome to the NFL moment now that you said you made your way through it?
Nothing crazy on welcome to the NFL stuff. I'm going to throw it out there, but played at Alabama, and had a lot of first rounders I was going against in practice and all that kind of stuff. But it was, I think the biggest eye-opening thing for me was I remember going into training camp, and it was Brandon Williams and Michael Pierce were the 2 nose guards. And I was playing center. So, I figured out real quick, it was good. You got to bring your A game every single day. So, those guys they were just hogs in the middle, and they didn't give an inch. You had to take everything. So, man, that was definitely a wake up experience.
Yeah, I would say that is a handful is an understatement.
Some massive humans to go up against each day.
Goodness, great.
Right.
Yeah, that will test your willpower, because we always hear it's the dirty work in the trenches, and then you have those 2 guys. You always did the dirty work, and in the NFL, for those that don't know, not even NFL, college. I mean, you played in some huge games and moments. What is it like playing a center or offensive line in the NFL? If you could actually define that.
Man, it's just a constant. You have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to stay locked in the entire game. There's no plays off. There's no games off. Like it is truly like you have to be rolling. You could have a 99% success rate, and then that one play, that you don't bring your A game, or you don't do your job, and then a big play happens, a sack happens, man, you're the worst guy in the world. So it only takes one. So just got to stay locked in and just keep rolling.
Yeah, you got to keep rolling. You're probably one of the few players, too. I was just thinking about this. You bookend with both Harbaughs. Just thinking about that. So you had John and you had Jim. I've gotten to know John growing up in Baltimore. I grew up here and gotten to know him throughout time. What truly now, after looking at both, what are similarities between the 2? And what is maybe a difference besides that, Jim will take ice baths and khakis and whatnot?
I was in there for that day, so that's a true story, and that was great. But both of them, both just great coaches, both true winners. Neither one of them are a hypocrite. They always do what they say they're going to do. They come from a family tree of winning, so it's just they were two great coaches to play for. Coach John is more kind of direct, and just more brunt about things. While Jim, he's going to tell you the truth every single step of the way, but he's going to do it in a charismatic way, and just he does it in his own way, and it's they're both awesome. Really enjoyed playing with both of them, but yeah. But Jim, when he stepped off the practice field and he had I think all he took off was his glasses, and he gets in the cold tub with his belt, his socks, his tucked in shirt. I mean, everything. It was great. Whistle still in the neck, so it was pretty iconic.
What was the context again? Was it just he's hopping in? What was the context for that?
It was just like post practice. I don't remember if it was a training camp or if it was in the middle of the season, but I remember it was me and Joey Bosa. We were sitting there, and he gets in, and we both just kind of look at each other and start laughing, because it was just one of those moments that was just what is actually happening right now.
You know what? Jim Harbaugh, he loves football, and he ain't afraid of some ice baths. Like that's his thing, Zach, I know you have a question for Bradley.
Yeah, first off, Bradley, congratulations on an incredible career. Obviously, on the field, you accomplished so much in college and the NFL, but off the field, 3-time nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Why was it so important for you to be so involved in the communities wherever you went?
Oh, we've been given such an amazing platform. It's just been, we've just been so blessed in so many ways. And we want to give back any way we could. It's just the ripple effect. You throw the stone into the water, and the pond ripples off of it. And that just continues to move outwards. But, we just wanted to use our platform, and it got bigger and bigger as we used it more and more. And we were just very thankful and lucky and blessed to have, such amazing people in our corner to help us out, to help us progress our foundation along. I think now we're to the point we've served over 3.5 million meals with our foundation. So, I mean, we're lucky. Like we're truly lucky to have the amazing people that want to help and want to give back on our side. So, it's always been a mission of ours to help any way we can.
Yeah, and real fast, obviously, anytime you watch a Ravens game now, the Mo is highlighted in the end zone. For you, I know you were there for multiple things and events with Mo. What was your relationship like with him, and how much has kind of his legacy carried on through all the things that you all do?
Yeah, Mo is an amazing human being. I mean, I got to meet Mo. I knew him for about 3 years of my time in Baltimore, and just such a amazing young man. I mean, the kid saw just the world in such a light that I'd never seen before, and just he just holds such a special place. When I still watch the Ravens games and see Mo still across the Baltimore end zone, it still warms my heart, because he was just such an amazing human being, and he got dealt such a crappy hand, but man, did he see the world in such a way that no one that I've ever met has seen. But yeah, he was a blessing to this earth for sure.
Yeah, you care about the community, you care about the people, and that's why, I mean, obviously, what you all have created to help others speaks for itself. But, it did start back in Baltimore, and I know a lot of people in this community really appreciate what the Bozeman family has brought. Maybe going back now to the memory lane, what are some of your favorite moments you had back here in Baltimore now that you can look back?
Oh man, just running out of that tunnel the first time, with the fire shooting up, and coming out into Bank of America, M&T Bank Stadium. I was in Bank of America the next stop, but coming out and just seeing the field, feeling the atmosphere, just the electricity of it. It's just such a it was such a surreal moment for me, as a young man and a young player, just trying to find my way in this league. And then, of course, setting the rushing record, we go and win the AFC, the North Division. And, I feel like we did so much. We beating Kansas City, jumping around and having a great time in, was it 2019, doing all that. And I mean, it was just it was such an electric time in those moments. And I was just so blessed to start my career there and to be able to play and do and just be there.
Yeah, and actually, you got to be there for the beginning of the Lamar Jackson experience, of everything really taking off. Looking back, well, one, I saw a comment here. One, what is it like to block for someone like Lamar and a running game that's so potent? And two, looking back at that and realizing that, did you see some of the special qualities he had as a player? Obviously had the MVP year, but in the way back, you got to see the true evolution from a young rookie to now looking back that he's going to be one of the best to play the position.
Yeah, Lamar, he's an unbelievable quarterback. He was so great to play with. We were drafted the same year. We kind of went through all the same things, and for him to be back there, I'll say this: he gets you out of more trouble than he gets you into. So he is moving around back there. But when he breaks out, he's out of here. I mean, defenders aren't rushing as hard. Guys are scared. They're trying to play contain more than they are trying to rush the passer. So he helps you in all those ways. And then, with his legs, obviously, he turns what normally would be a 2-yard run or 2-yard loss into a 50-yard touchdown run. So, it's just he's an electric player. He's, playing the game at such high level. And I see great things in his future for sure.
I do too. And hopefully for Baltimore, they get a chance to bring home another world championship. And maybe I was thinking back to some of the Lamar moments of getting out of trouble. He's also just gotten out of trouble and Houdini for a 50-yard touchdown run was in Cincy, right? The 2019 game, that spin move. You had a front row seat to that, by the way. Was that as crazy as we saw it on TV?
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. I mean, you're running down, and I don't think I really did much that play. I just kind of got in the way, and then Lamar just did the rest. I think that was one of those crazy games. I think we only had like 38 plays on offense, and we had 46 points or whatever it was. But I mean, it was insane, that game, and just that run was incredible. I've seen so many like it that don't really get the attention that one did. But man, that one was special for sure.
Yeah, that was something, to say the least. And it was just like it was Kevin Harlan on the call, I think, right, Zach? So yeah. He is Houdini. He is Houdini. Hey, so talk to me about post-retirement now. Are we Farmer Bozeman, or what do we got going on?
Yeah, so we're back at the farm, back in Alabama. We got a little acreage here. There's a bulldozer right outside the window right now, clearing some pastures and that kind of stuff. We got some little ducks going downstairs. So, we're rocking and rolling. We're gonna do a little farming here. I'm moving the cows over here in the next couple of days. So, I'm pretty fired up. We're gonna be Farmer Bose for a little while. So, and then we'll go from there.
Hey, what's harder, out of curiosity, trying to herd some cows and get that done, or trying to move Michael Pierce and Brandon Williams?
Oh, Michael Pierce and Brandon Williams, without a doubt.
Oh man, what do I need to know about farming, by the way? I'm curious.
I'll just come on down. I'll teach you a few things. It ain't too much to it. So just keep them in, keep them alive, and just feed them, make sure they're watered, and you're good to go.
You make it sound like it's that easy. I don't know if it's that easy.
It's not, but that's the Reader's Digest. So
okay, well, I appreciate it. Zach, got any final closing thoughts for Bradley?
Yeah, actually, one last thing I kind of want to talk about. I guess 2018 national championship, pretty big day. You guys get the win, and then you propose right after the game to your now wife Nikki. I guess two things. What was your emotions like after that? Because that has got to be just an insane range of emotions. And was there ever a thought, because it was a close game, where you're like, crap, is there a backup plan? So what was going through your mind during that?
Yeah, it was only happening if we won. So there was no engagement, that at least that day, unless we won. So I think our nutritionist had the ring, and he had it. He put it in his pocket at halftime, I believe. And we're down whatever it was, come back, win the game. You know, we do all the celebration. We have all a good time. We're taking no one knew besides the guy that was holding the ring and our head athletic trainer, Jeff Allen, who I told that, you know, I asked him if it was an okay idea, if he thinks Saban would approve, but they were the only two that knew. And, you know, I finished up and we're taking a picture of the line, and I turned to all of them like, hey, I'm about to go propose to Nikki. And they all start freaking out. So we go over and try to get her, and President Trump was there at the time, so they had Secret Service was everywhere. She tries to come down on the field. They're like, if you jump down here, I'm going to tase you. So like run over. They grab like some credentials or something, try to get her down. They still won't let her down. Someone runs over, tells the producer, they come over, make her go down, then it all happens. So it was a very eventful moment, but just such great memories all around with the national championship and the proposal. So
that's awesome.
So how would Nick have Coach Saban have taken? Well, obviously said he wouldn't have proposed, or you wouldn't have proposed if you lost. But how is Coach Saban after a win at times too? He seems like he's on to the next thing. Like, so obviously, did he congratulate you after? Be like, hey, nice one.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't even remember, to be honest. You know, I remember talking to him about the game, but other than that, I don't remember much. It was such a whirlwind, and you know, we won. I think he has a 24-hour rule, so you know he celebrated that one, and then I think he was back on the recruiting after those 24 hours were up. But
did you have the 24-hour rule?
Oh no, we celebrated a lot longer. You know, we didn't. We just had the combine or the pro day to train for and all that kind of stuff. So we had a little bit longer to celebrate.
Well, I'm glad you had to have that moment. You and your family have had some tremendous moments on the field, off the field, making impacts everywhere you go. Congratulations on a great career. And is there anything that you want to share with people about what you have coming up next, or your next journey, or anything for even the Baltimore community?
You know, we're doing our farming stuff here, but other than that, we have a golf tournament coming up in Birmingham. You know, hopefully it's going to be a pretty big deal. So if you ever want to pop down to Alabama and come to a golf tournament, it's the Monday after the Masters. So come on, sign up. So you can go to BozemanCharity.com to find out more.
Well, perfect. Well, Bradley, I appreciate it and appreciate everything your family continues to do. Congrats on a hell of a career, and good luck in the farming adventures. And I will have to give you a text or call on how to do that, because I don't know what the hell you're fully doing. But I'd love to take some photos. I'd love to see what you're working with. All right.
Absolutely. All right. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you, Bradley Bozeman, everybody. Good for him. Great career. You know, when you look at it, right, you have a chance when you play at Alabama, you're playing for national champions every single year. Except now, because, you know, the SEC is the Big Ten's the main conference now, right, Zach? So, yeah. But in all seriousness, 6th-round pick, coming to the NFL, you work your ass off, and you end up having an 8-year career out of that. But then on top of it, it's not what you do on the field, which, again, a lot of people remember what you do on the field. It's the impact you make off of it. And the Bozeman family has done a tremendous job in every community that they've gone to. And I'm glad he could take a little bit of time. Yeah. And I'm excited to see his next chapter in his life.
Farmer Bose. That'll be a fun one to follow.
Farmer Bose, that'd be electric. That would be electric content on top of it, too. So can't wait to see what's in store for him. 8 years, and he's right. He came in with Lamar in 2018, and he got to see a whole different vantage point. And he had that. I'm glad he gave us a vantage point on the Houdini, going, I don't think I really did anything. I just was there. And that was funny to look at, but class act, amazing. And glad that Nikki was able to get on the field and wasn't stopped by a Secret Service. That was the more you know here, the more that you know.
I mean, and that game, I mean, absolutely insane. Like, that was one of the craziest. That was because that was what was that not the Tua game? Am I
2018?
2018, yeah, because it was against Georgia. Yeah, overtime finish. Yeah, because Georgia kicked the field goal. Devontae Smith over
the sack on the play before, or the two, whatever it was, and then Tua to Devontae Smith. That team was loaded.
And Jalen Hurts started that game. I mean, like, that was
crazy.
I mean, he wasn't wrong when he talked about the amount of talent he was going up against every day. That team was unreal.
Unreal. But, that was those glory days behind the SEC and Bama now, Zach? Well, Nick Moore wouldn't like to hear that from the SEC's perspective, even though that was against his Bulldogs.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Damn.
Might have to get his perspective.
Yeah. Nick only responds when he wants to respond about things to try to debunk rumors, which well, I guess he could in the future. In the moment here, because we'll have the first set of the show for football. We'll have the back end of the show for baseball. Does that sound good, Zach? Sports?
Yep.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the football side here? And I don't know if you have DaCosta's comments available, or do you have anything with Joel Corey from yesterday?
Yeah, I'll get the DaCosta stuff right now.
Perfect. So it's just good timing. Combine's now underway in Indianapolis, but that's not what everyone's talking about at this moment in time. It's more about, at least in Baltimore, what's going on with the contract negotiation for Tyler Linderbaum. But then on top of that, to have Linderbaum and to create more space, where are you at with the Lamar Jackson extension? Because that would then open up more space for the short term for this Baltimore Ravens team. And speaking of Bradley Bozeman being a center then for the Ravens, well, Tyler Linderbaum's been the center here in Baltimore. He's going to reset the market and have all that going on. So do you have the clip available?
Yeah, actually, good thing you just said that, because I have Eric DaCosta talking about how they've, negotiations with Tyler Linderbaum are going currently. So we'll listen to that and then react to it on the other side.
Well, Tyler's a guy that I have tremendous respect for. Obviously he's proven to be, in my opinion, the best center in the league. We've been having conversations. We've had conversations since the end of the season. And at this point in time, we've made him a market-setting offer, and hopefully we can get something done with him between now and the start of the new league year. We've always been a team that has valued the importance of, quote-unquote, the trenches and being up front, which is one of the reasons why we want to bring Tyler back, if we can.
So, right there, and I've heard EDC use that, a lot of respect, and there is a lot of respect and love for Tyler Linderbaum, and he's been great. He has. You can say every player has their strengths and weaknesses, but overall, Tyler Linderbaum has been, if you're not going to say he's the best center in the NFL, he has been one of the best. No doubt about it. He has made an impact since the day he was drafted and came to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, Zach, the question's going to be, how do we get there? Because it's not just as much of the market being reset and how much are you willing to spend, but on top of it, there's a couple different factors that have to go into how much you can spend. Yeah. And so do you have a clip from Joel Corey from yesterday about the contract talk? Because it's a perfect blend here. So Joel Corey is a CBS NFL salary cap expert and a former agent that is really well-versed in all of these types of situations. Do you have that clip available, one of those available?
Yeah,
Zach?
so we have Joel Corey actually talking about the Lamar Jackson situation. And like we said, if the Ravens were to want to make that market-setting deal to Tyler Linderbaum, they're going to need a little cap space, and the most likely route that they need to get it from is a Lamar Jackson either extension or restructure. So listen to Joel Corey talk about kind of the two options, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Are the numbers high? Just from your perspective of looking at this, what kind of needs to be done to alleviate some of the pressure for the Ravens in 2026 and open up some more possibility?
Well, you have two choices. Steve Bisciotti said he would like to have a new deal done by March 11th. And then if Lamar isn't amenable to that, he would just kick the can down the road with your contract restructure, where you move cap salary from 2026 into 2027 by converting base salary into signing bonus. That isn't ideal. He also said a couple of things which raised a little red flag to me, that he doesn't basically want to reinvent the wheel. he wants to more or less do the same contract as last time, but a little bit higher. I don't know what he means by a little bit higher, but Lamar last time when he signed became the league's highest paid player. A little bit higher may not necessarily mean in his mind highest paid player, but I'd imagine in Lamar's mind, he still wants to be the highest paid player in any extension he signs.
So interesting words, right? And it's not that anything's shocking there, but it's giving a perspective on what it means for the short term and the long term. Short term frees up more space. Long term, yeah, you're kicking some things down the road, but you know what? For the Ravens and even Ravens fans, you're not looking at 3 years, 4 years down the road. You're thinking about right now. And one of the biggest concerns, at least for the team, Zach, was what? The offensive line. And Tyler Linderbaum is your best offensive lineman. If you lose him, you then have to add back that, probably draft more guys, and try to make sure that you're comfortable with the staff that you have. And what I mean by staff, it's the player personnel to go and win. You're going to have Lamar. You're going to have Derrick Henry. You have some good skill position players, which another one, and Isaiah Likely, that Lamar said he would like to come back on social media, wants him back. Reality is it's going to be hard to bring back Likely with just the situations. But above all, Zach, it's keeping 8 upright. And so, but to get this ball rolling, it's got to start with getting the 8 contract situation sorted out.
Yeah. And, we talk about the Ravens, and Eric DeCosta just brought it up. They value the trenches and they want to improve in the trenches. Well, I hate to break it to them, and I'm sure they know this because of how Eric DeCosta just talked. There is no improving from Tyler Linderbaum with anyone available or anyone that you can draft immediately. So that means that if you want to keep what you have and then build off that, which I think is the best case scenario, you need Tyler Linderbaum back, which means you need your star player, Lamar Jackson, who I want to put out there. Eric DeCosta did say today in an interview, hey, at his press conference, Lamar's been very active with the Ravens recently. Like, this is something that they want to get done. It's going to come down to Lamar either restructuring or getting that contract extension, whichever the two sides can kind of agree to before March 11th. Steve Bisciotti said in the introductory press conference, the press conference right after they let go of John Harbaugh, he said, hey, either Lamar, we're going to sign that extension, or we are going to restructure, turn void years, all of that, because the reality is there are very few players that are as important to a team as Lamar Jackson. Obviously, top 3, 2, 1 quarterback in football. But unfortunately, no player in football is really worth $76 million against the cap. It's just not sustainable for any franchise. For Patrick Mahomes, for Joe Burrow, for Josh Allen, any quarterback you put out there, that's just a lot of money. So teams have to work around that through signing bonuses, extensions, all of that. And you need to put that cap hit down for them to then, in return, get Tyler Linderbaum, try to bring some guys back, and then add on in free agency. As we talked with Joel Corey yesterday about, the extension is what you want. You would like Lamar Jackson by March 11th. You'll look at it and go, he is here for the next 5 years. We have that. We know that's happening. Boom, there it is. Because if you don't, and it is just a simple restructure that pushes everything and all your problems to next year, and I can tell you right now, we all saw 2022 and how horrible that was when Lamar was playing on a contract year. There was talks about, is he going to be back next year? What's going to happen? And the reality, once again, is at about $87 million cap hit, if they just restructure and put it off to next year, shout out Joel Corey for having that off the top of his head yesterday, it puts a lot of pressure on them. They can't franchise him, can't put any tags on, which means Lamar would have the ability to just go to free agency. And that is something that I doubt Lamar wants to do, and I know for a fact the Ravens don't want to do. So the best thing for them to do is they need to agree to an extension. I know Eric DeCosta is working tirelessly on it, and I'm sure Lamar wants to get it done as well, because nobody likes the uncertainty, and no one likes playing in a season with the uncertainty looming ahead.
Well, and then what your goals ahead are. You want to win. And part of winning is you got to put together a team you think can give you the best chance. And part of doing that is restructuring current deals that you have on your roster. When you restructure those deals, you get to see what you have to work with to try to fix the holes, either in free agency, retain the talent that you have, or you go to the draft and you bring in some new pieces, right? But I think the part of the draft which is so important is then you need to develop guys into being very valuable pieces, but don't have the perception that the rookies coming in are going to hit the ground running and be stars from the jump. That's an unfair, notion that we have, I think, across professional sports nowadays, Zach. It's that you get drafted, you're supposed to be a stud. Well, some guys hit the gate running. You know what? That's damn great for them. Some of them don't. Some of them need time to develop. Some of them need to figure out how they fit in. You could go through the last X amount of years, at least in Baltimore, and look at some guys that had some struggles to start. Kyle Hamilton. I think Kyle Hamilton turned out to be a pretty damn good player, but it took some growing pains, some experience for him to get comfortable in a system. Recently, Zach, this past year, Teddy Buchanan. Mm-hmm. Teddy getting comfortable. If we go back to the Houston Texans game, that was probably the worst game the Ravens have probably ever played in Baltimore, arguably. And that was a growing pain moment for a lot of guys, including Teddy. But you know what happened? He learned a lot, and until he had the season-ending injury, dude was playing really well, was figuring things out. But that is the part here when you're looking at a guy like Tyler Linderbaum. He's a bona fide top-of-the-line center. He's a mauler. You want that guy. But to get that guy, you got to figure out the rest of your cap situation, which I do believe EDC on that. I don't think it's a matter of if. I think it's just a matter of when, but you just hope the timing is before this free agent period, before Tyler even hits the open market, because that seems, Zach, to be the number one priority, at least for right now for the Ravens, is making sure you keep Linderbaum in Baltimore. And you know what? You got to keep your long snapper happy, because if Linderbaum leaves, Nick Moore is going to be devastated. Unbelievable. He will be.
He would be.
And I mean, I'm surprised that the Ravens haven't gone to Nick and said, how can we make you happy, Nick?
Yeah.
I'm surprised, because that's what usually they do. They go straight to the long snapper and say, what do we need to make you happy for 2026 and beyond?
Live and die through the long snapper. Everyone knows it.
Everyone knows it, Oh, goodness. He's a good kid. Maybe we'll talk to him again in the future.
If he ever responds.
Oh, no. Or he'll just complain to me. He'll complain to me about something. They lose a game, he blames me. He's getting in the whole swing of things now. Orioles lose, blame me. Ravens lose, blame me. That's fine. Accountability at its finest for Nick Moore. Oh, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live Monday through Friday right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And this is technically our off season, Zach, for what, 10 days, 2 weeks? Because then we're revving back up. March 1, baseball really starts to intensify. Free agency happens. We're trying to get our spring training trip planned. And then on top of it, then it's the regular season in baseball, and then we're off and running. So appreciate you guys. And before we get to our next guest, Zach, why don't we take a break from this stream and head to the other stream? And there's that handsome devil right there. AutoStream Car Care Center. You get $50 off when you just mention the name Ryan Ripken. So for any service, you have car issues that involve tires, battery, or there's just specific repair issues. Brakes got a problem? Hey, $50 off when you just mention Ryan Ripken. So I appreciate my friends over there at AutoStream Car Care Center. They got 10 locations throughout Maryland. So you got a lot of options to choose from. Appreciate them. So from that stream, Zach, back to this stream, got to tell you, that hair, I guess, looks the about the same in that photo, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Getting there. You of all people, buddy, can't be talking about that. All right?
Uh-huh.
We're trying to get funding to go to Turkey or Chicago.
Oh, yeah, Chicago.
One of the two. But that's okay.
One day.
Well, Scott, when you're ready, give me the thumbs up. We'll rock and roll. Perfect. All right. So you know what? We try to bring some guests on to give you some great insight. So earlier we had Bradley Bozeman. Congratulations to Bradley Bozeman again. And now to get more perspective on maybe the offensive side of the game. He's been an offensive coordinator and recently passing game coordinator for the New York Jets. Let's bring on Scott Turner. Scott, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I feel like you and I can have a little bit of some similarities. I come from a baseball family. You come from a football family. In that side, especially in the coaching department, I can probably share some stories here from my upbringing. But do you mind sharing a little bit from yours on the growing up in this kind of coaching landscape that you then followed in your family's footsteps?
Yeah, I mean, it's always like you always look back at it and you think about it more after the fact, because when you're a kid and you're growing up, you don't know anything else. You know what I mean? So my dad was always a coach. Going to practices was always just part of my life. And, he was the offensive coordinator at the Cowboys, and they won back-to-back Super Bowls. And I remember being in the locker room with Michael Irvin after the game. I was 10 years old, celebrating that first championship in Pasadena. And then they won the second one in a row in Atlanta the next season. And then he got the head coaching job in Washington. And like the first year he was there, we were 3-13. And I'm like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like I was, 12 years old, just the realization of like, as I got older, what pro sports really is and how challenging it is. And I was in the, I was living in the DC area the whole time with your dad with the streak and following that. And there was no nationals back then, they were the Expos still. So, the Orioles, that was our team, so we'd go up to Camden Yards, not a lot, but once or twice a year, and was a fan of the team and, enjoyed watching your dad play growing up. And then did you go to Gilman?
I did. Go Hounds.
When did you graduate from Gilman?
2012.
Okay, because I was at University of Pittsburgh, and I remember, and I didn't know you were there, but it was after school, and it was because Darius Jennings and then Cyrus Jones. I was recruiting both those guys, and they were running track, so I was talking to them, and they were like, "Hey, you see that over there? That's Cal Ripken's over there," because your dad was like coaching third base or something, and he obviously was coaching. Your game was going on, so I was there at Gilman. So I thought about that today before I came on here. That's just funny.
Hey, it all goes back to Gilman, Zach. Gilman,
don't give into it.
So Zach went to Loyola right down the street. He got his ass whooped by the Hounds, especially when
didn't happen.
When Darius and Cyrus were playing, DJ, dude, it was a boat race back in the day with those two guys. So I played basketball with both those guys. I've known Darius, since we were 9 or 10. He's the grade above me, and then Cyrus and I were together, same draft class or high school class. So it's down memory lane. And when you mentioned, by the way, growing up in the locker room and going in there to celebrate, growing up for me, the Orioles kind of stunk, except for a few years when I don't really remember as much. I don't remember the streak, but what my perception was growing up, Scott, is that everyone's dad plays baseball. And everyone's dad's going to play 21 years. Oh, and then everyone's dad is going to get a farewell tour because that's normal. And then you go to school and my friends' dads don't play baseball. My friends' dads then certainly aren't getting a farewell tour. And then I get older and I go, damn, baseball's freaking hard. And I knew that, obviously. But it's a full circle moment. And those memories you have with Michael Irvin, I have that with guys like Brady Anderson, Mike Mussina, and, Brady. I could say whatever the hell I want on this because we can be unfiltered as much, but for our audience sake, I might have to keep that for a Rip After Dark. Let's just say, Scott, I learned a lot in the locker room.
Yeah, no,
I'm certainly you did as well.
I did as well. Yeah, it's you definitely learn a lot being around those guys.
Yeah. Well, so then talk to me about before we get into a little bit of football talk here. For you, what was that like as you're now walking the walk? Now you're going through the coaching situations, you're breaking in, you're trying to forge your own path. And I ask this because, I can identify with that, but did you feel it was easier, a challenge? How did you view trying to get into it when, you were probably being recognized like I was being Cal's son. People probably looked at you as the son of while you're starting off your career.
Yeah, for sure. I think, being aware of it is the biggest thing, and understand that like everyone's looking for you to feel like you're entitled, and that you're owed something. So just trying to do the extra, make sure that, you make sure that without a shadow of doubt that you're, attack it with humility, wanting to work hard and just be able to contribute to the team. That's the biggest thing, is like whether, starting off in coaching, whether I was a graduate assistant or quality control coach, and just trying to do the best job I can and show that, I was an asset for the organization, and that I was pulling my weight plus some, with the staff, and then as well as with the players. I had a moment my first year in the NFL, and I wasn't the tight end coach. I was quality control, but I was helping out a little with the tight ends. And Jeremy Shockey, who's at the Carolina Panthers, and he's kind of an intimidating guy. And it was like one of our first practices, and I remember just kind of coaching him on a pass route or whatever, and that really made me realize that, like, no matter what your age is or like your background, if these guys believe that you can help them be a better player, then they're going to listen to you, and they're going to respect you. So just tried to focus on that, that aspect of it, and do what the guys above me wanted me to do, be a good teammate, and like I said, just be able to contribute, and when you prove that, then you get more and more responsibilities, and you try to work yourself up up the ladder.
For sure. And you're right. When you're there and you put the extra time in, the end of the day is, can you help the guys that are there? Can you help be a piece that can keep this track running, and try to have success, right? It's a business. You win games, people, you get more opportunities. And for you, you've had opportunities. You probably have coached in so many different facets and so many different ways, specifically on the offensive side. So now into today's NFL, this way better than me, but for Baltimore, we've had some changes here, and a lot of changes. And Harbaugh's out, new coaching staff, and it's almost a fresh new look. And for a lot of different ways, like, it's a younger coaching staff. What is something then, if maybe you could explain? So Declan Doyle is going to be a first-time offensive coordinator, and you understand the style that a guy like Lamar Jackson has. What is maybe something that you might predict is this new age and evolution of what a Ravens offense could kind of try to identify? Because we've seen the coordinators that the Ravens have had before, and they've been a little bit more seasoned, been around. And in this case, it truly feels like this is kind of a new age of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So I've met Declan Doyle. I don't know him. I know he's been around some great coaches, obviously working for Sean Payton, and then with Ben Johnson this last year. And I know he wasn't the play caller, but he was the offensive coordinator in Chicago this past year, as far as just putting practice scripts together, putting together a game plan. This past year with the Jets, it's a lot of people that came from that Lions staff. So, I have a familiarity with the offense, because it was a very similar offense to what they ran in Detroit with Ben, and then what they did obviously this past year in Chicago, and they continue to do. I think you'll probably see a little bit more under center. I know they want to be under center. Now, when you have somebody like Lamar, who's as dynamic a runner as he is, when you put that player in the gun, you can play 11 on 11 football, because, now he becomes a more likely ball carrier. So that's what I'm interested to see. Like, will they be as much under center? Obviously Jared Goff, Caleb Williams, are they going to be as much under center with Lamar as they are with Caleb? Especially Lamar's played in gun a lot, and he's done both. And then I'll go back to this, and I probably should have started with this. I probably am as high on Lamar Jackson as anybody you'll talk to. In my opinion, he's the best quarterback in the league, and I don't think it's particularly close. I think for as much accolades as he does get, I actually think he's pretty underrated of a player. The quarterback's job is to move the ball down the field and score points. And if you go back to the last season, he was fully healthy 2 years ago. They had 4,000 yards passing and 3,000 yards rushing on offense, and they're the first offense that's ever done that in the history of the NFL. And it's because of him. And Derrick Henry's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but Derrick Henry's had a little bit of a resurgence in his career because he's been able to play with Lamar Jackson, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I feel like that's had more of that. And so I think Lamar's going to be great in whatever system you put him in. I know his ability to run, but the thing that he does so well is he makes the secondary cover for so long because you don't get the aggressive pass rush because they know they got to kind of keep him contained, and he's able to keep his eyes up in the pocket and keep plays alive. So that's why guys, it's like with the Ravens, guys are so wide open because they got to cover for 3-4 seconds, where other quarterbacks are either getting sacked or flushing the pocket and not being able to keep their eyes up. And I think that's kind of Lamar's superpower. So to summarize everything I said there, I think Declan's going to have a good plan of what he wants to do. Everybody that I've been with said that he's great with the relationship aspect of it. So he'll work with Lamar. And I think whatever you ask Lamar to do, he's going to be successful, and they're going to be a great offense like they have been, when he's been out there. And that's the other thing that shows you with Lamar, like the how the Ravens have played when he's on the field compared to how they've played when he isn't on the field, as far as points per game, win-loss record. It's pretty remarkable when you look at the difference there.
Yeah. And do you want to follow up real quick, Zach?
Yeah, really quick, Scott. You talked about, obviously Declan has never he didn't call plays in Chicago last year, but was the offensive coordinator. And there's been a lot of debate on, is that a big deal or not? To you, is that a big deal that, hey, he's never called plays, or is this just, hey, he was offensive coordinator, he knows what he's doing?
So when you call plays in the NFL, a lot of it is done through the preparation during the week, as far as like, all right, these are the plays we want for these situations. You rank your third downs in each section, you rank your top red zone calls, and then there's probably 10 to 12 calls a game where you get knocked off track, or you get a big explosive play and you got to find it and you got to adjust, or like in a 2-minute drill when you got to call when it's happening really fast. Or the other part of it is like making adjustments as the game goes on as a play caller. He hasn't done that, but he's watched two of the best play callers in the NFL, though. He's been witness to that. And he's also, and I don't know what the staff responsibilities were. I'm assuming because as a head coach, Ben's got a lot to do during the week, that Declan was in charge of kind of putting the game plan together, and then him and Ben would work on it and rank the plays how they wanted it. It's always a group effort with the offensive staff, and then one guy also obviously has to call the play. So is it a big deal? Yeah, it's a big deal to be a play caller for the first time, but I don't know if it's quite as big of a deal. And he's already been a part of putting the whole thing together. It's not like he's coming from just being like a quarterback coach or a tight end coach where you're just hyper focused on your one position. He's been focused on, or this past year, he was focused on the big picture. So I think that it's a transition that he'll be able to make. At some point, everybody was a first-time play caller. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, I've heard nothing but great things about him. When I met him, I had a positive interaction, and obviously having number 8 back there is going to help his transition quite a bit.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt having a player of that magnitude. And in your mind, you say he's the best in the league. And I'll get to that comment in a second, but what is in your mind, after going through it yourself, of just understanding what are growing pains, at least for you? You said, like, you're going to have the resources, that you have the infrastructure, you got a quarterback that's great. What is something that you've learned then from the process of an adjustments? Is it adjustments mid-game? Is it how you game plan? Like, what are some hurdles that a play caller has to go through on a game plan week to week, which seems like Declan's already done, but now let's call it in-game management, right? Because that's where things really can go awry here as something comes up.
I think the biggest thing that I learned is my time, calling plays, and I've called, I think something like 60 games in the NFL, and it's 4 games with the Panthers, 3 seasons with the Washington, and then half a year with the Raiders. My biggest regrets are the things that I felt like is when I didn't trust my preparation. I think if you trust your preparation and you give your players a chance to go make plays, it's not always going to work out, but you'll feel better about it. The times where I wanted to quote unquote play it safe or maybe protect the player, get it. Those are always the games that I came back upset with myself, because I was like, look, these guys work hard. They prepare it all week. Give them a chance to go make plays, and don't limit them with your play calling because you're afraid of the negatives. Now, that doesn't mean just be totally reckless and not let Myles Garrett work one-on-one against your tackle all game. I mean, but that's part of the preparation. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I learned, from a coach a long time ago that, like, if the play's on the game plan sheet, then you can call it. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to call it, and it shouldn't be on there if you're not. And that's where, like, the times that I've been conservative or tried to, not put guys in bad situations, those are the times I felt bad. Whereas, I guess that's what I would say. And again, it's not being reckless, but just, every coach in this league, like, you watch film, you know the tendencies. The certain pass protection schemes you have up are based on the fronts you're going to get or different blitzes you're going to get, and trust the guys, trust your preparation, trust the players' preparation, and let it rip. Let those guys go make plays, and more often than not, they do. And the players feel that too. It's a psychological thing too, where they're like, hey, this guy trusts us to go out there and make plays and show our abilities, and that's normally when you get the best results.
Who in your mind then, just from being around, because what you're talking about, that's a human element side, trusting yourself, not getting too much in your head and just going out there and staying with things. And again, you have to make adjustments throughout a game, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You have to,
yeah.
But
right.
In your mind, someone that you watch, maybe it's someone that we don't give enough credit to, or maybe he's been that good because he's so good at making those adjustments. Who is something that, that you have watched up close and personal over the years where you've really marveled at their ability to continue to make those adjustments and stay on course throughout a game as an offensive coordinator?
Yeah, I think it's the guys that everyone kind of always talks about. I mean, the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, they've been doing it for years. Andy Reid's been doing it for years. Sean Payton's been doing it for years. I mean, those guys are all, great offensive minds and play callers, and they all have their own different style and approach, but the results same. Obviously, Ben Johnson, the last few years, that what he's been able to do. I mean, his offenses have all been, in the top 5, and obviously different places with different players. So just watching them and their ability to, kind of like you're saying, put a plan together, get the players to believe in, execute the plan, and then being able to make adjustments, when things don't necessarily aren't going how they've been. And that's where, like, Ben did such a great job. And people talk about with Caleb Williams, how well he played in the fourth quarter, and coaching has a lot to do with that, as well. They had some games this season, obviously, where they're dead in the water and came back and were able to pull it off. And a lot of that is, making adjustments as a coaching staff.
The other part that stuck out to me was just you saying about the players get that, and it's that confidence and it's that psychological side where if the coach keeps that same demeanor or belief when you're doing plays, it seems to then have that ripple effect. It's the same thing in all sports, right? When things are going well, you can sense the momentum go from one person to the other to the other. When there's a break in that, it's like the chain reaction. And it happens all the time when they say momentum swings. Like, that's a great example of a team all of a sudden can feel like they're out of it. And it just takes one play, one moment to kind of switch that. But it can happen depending on what you're saying, play call. But let me get back to that comment you said about Lamar. Because you say you didn't hesitate with that. You think he's the best. And we've had a lot of other players. I mean, we had Hollywood Brown on at the Super Bowl. And he said one thing he always hated was saying that, they made the system around Lamar. And he said Lamar is the system, And I think because of the style of which Lamar came into the league and people had questions about his throwing ability, right? Like, how could he match? And then every single year, Scott, right, he seems to do something that tops what he did before. Now, this past year, he was hurt. And when he's not healthy, it speaks for itself. Team doesn't win as much. The results then for him don't look as impressive. But why then, in your mind, because what you're saying is, I mean, look, there's some great quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes is a stud. Josh Allen's a stud. I know some people in Baltimore don't give Joe Burrow the right credit. Burrow is the stud.
No, you're talking about a lot of really great players. So no, you're saying why do you,
for you? Why do you say in this case that you think he is the best of a group that's elite? Like you think that he is still the pinnacle of it?
Yeah, so I reference as far as like the Ravens, what they look like when he's on the field compared to what they look like when he's not on the field, and that's just the eye test. Before he got hurt this season, and I think he dipped back below it, but he had the highest quarterback rating, and I know that's just one stat, but he had the highest quarterback rating in the history of the NFL as far as over the course of his career, and obviously most rushing yards of any quarterback together. So you put those two things together, like that's a dynamic thing. I went back to, I talked about last season, the 2024 season, how productive they were on offense, and Hollywood Brown, I'd 100% agree with him. Like Lamar is the system, and I think where he's unorthodox, and he's not only unorthodox with the way he plays, like his personality. He is like unapologetically himself. You know what I mean? And he doesn't like try to fit into a box of what a quarterback's supposed to look like. And I think there's some negativity that comes his way because of that. The other thing is like when he does, like some of his misses like are bad. Like he'll miss a throw pretty bad sometimes. You know what I mean? But like, so the optics aren't always great, but it's still the completion percentage. He always has a pretty high completion percentage. You know what I mean? Like he's proven to be accurate. And then obviously like the playoff struggles against Buffalo 2 years ago, he has the 2 early turnovers in the game, but then in the second half of that game, he plays as well as anybody could possibly play. They get all the hard time about not giving Derrick Henry the ball against New England. So then there's obviously the overreaction going into the fourth quarter. Lamar had like 10 pass attempts against the Steelers in that basically playoff game, the last game of the season. And then they're like, hey, save us. And he throws for like 200 yards in a quarter and basically has 3 come from behind drives in the fourth, and they just missed the field goal at the end. You know what I mean? So like, to me, like his dynamic playmaking ability, both with through the air and then obviously what he can do with his legs. I just don't think, you've seen anything like that. And the win percentage and the statistics back it up too. You know what I mean? So I think if you take all that together, you look at the Ravens early in the season and how dynamic they were on offense, and they started with such a bad record because they couldn't stop anybody. You know what I mean? And so anyways, if you put all that together, that's why I have the opinion. And again, not anything bad against Josh Allen, but like when Josh Allen started playing better is when they kind of started giving the ball to James Cook a little bit more. And Josh Allen was able to protect the football. And then, again, we saw what happened in the playoffs with him, where he has, 4 interceptions in the playoff game when it kind of had to go on his shoulders. And again, nothing bad against Josh Allen, nothing bad against Mahomes with the Super Bowls.
Yeah, they're all beasts. They're all great players. I think the part that we talk about, it's just a more of a credit to you've been around the game and seen this. And even though in moments, right, the best of the best are going to get criticized. They do,
Absolutely.
Because there's an expectation level that's so high. And it's because of the way that they've played to set the expectation level so high. But even in this process, there's only been one quarterback that has come out of the AFC to win, one active quarterback to win out of the AFC in the last since 2018. Now it's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Right? Am I losing my mind? The other one.
Well, no. Yeah. Yes. No, you're right.
Because then Tom Brady's retired.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes, he's won some Super Bowls. Joe Burrow went that 1 year, and then it's been no one else, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Drake May and the Pats went this year. We saw what happened. Seahawks won that game. So
Right.
there's only a few. I think that's the conversation, right? Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes is the only quarterback in the AFC that's won since Lamar has the active quarterback since Lamar has come into the league. And all those guys.
Yeah,
So-
and I can be on both sides of that argue. Like is wins a quarterback stat? Like, no, it's not. Football is a team game, but at the same time, the best quarterbacks seem to win more than the others, and I think Mahomes, I feel like, has probably had the better team around him, and than the other two. And that's where Lamar, that's the Lamar, Josh Allen, because they're in the same boat, right? They've both been to championship games. They've never been to a Super Bowl, for whatever reason. And I feel like there's a little bit more blame put on Lamar than there is for Josh Allen in those situations, just from a narrative standpoint. You know what I mean?
Agree. I think Baltimore would agree with you on that, Scott. I think everyone would if it's the part of this, right?
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say, and it's really just because the biggest thing is the Ravens, with who's been the quarterback and the talent that they've had, and being the Ravens, they haven't gone to the Super Bowl since they won it back in Super Bowl 47.
And I do think, and the other thing, again, maybe it's a hot take. I don't want to upset people in Baltimore, but I don't know. I think the talent level is a little bit exaggerated on the roster in Baltimore, particularly on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, I think that's a fair thing to say after what transpired this past year. And from the combination of, yes, there was injuries, and yes, there could have been some coaching schemes or things that weren't to the players' strengths, but regardless, there was some underperforming play. I think that's just being objective. And I think that's why, and I think people in Baltimore would all agree with this, with what just happened this past year. That's why it's even more frustrating, not because with the Ravens, but that the fact that the Patriots of all these teams, they are the ones that went to the Super Bowl in a wide open AFC, that it could have been Baltimore,
Yeah, that's what. Baltimore doesn't make the playoffs. Buffalo, they're saying the same thing. I mean, no, it's 100%. And the Patriots are, we played them twice, and they just got better as the year went on, and they took advantage of some good matchups. The defense continued to get better, and they played smart. They played smart football.
Yeah, and Drake May, that I don't know where that ranks in nicknames. That's a whole other thing, but you ever heard that Drake May? Just use his name in the middle of the nickname.
No,
heard that?
No, I didn't hear that one.
So you don't think I'm just like it's this crazy dude, which I might be, Scott, but like that's what people go. Drake May. I don't know how the hell that got caught on.
I don't either.
I have no idea, but it did.
It somehow did.
It somehow did. Zach, before we let Scott go, any final question, thought?
No, Scott, actually, I liked your opinion kind of on, I think, the Ravens roster, because I do agree. I think a lot of times we focus on the quarterbacks, but it is a team sport. And I think a big kind of nod to that is the Seahawks, where, Sam Darnold, someone who had not really been seen as this top of the line quarterback. Now, a few years ago when he was coming out of college, he was hoped to be that. But from your perspective, how hard, or I guess how important is it the entire team versus, because everyone always says like, oh, NFL is just all about scoring now. Well, as you point out, the Ravens, if they could have just stopped somebody in a lot of these games, their season looks a whole lot different. So from, really growing up to now, how have you seen the NFL change from kind of in the early 2000s? It was a lot more defense, and now it seems like it's more offense, and maybe it's leaning back more towards the full team game.
Yeah, I think what you said is correct. I think it is leaning back. I think people are a lot more wide open. People are going for it on fourth down a lot more. With the new kickoff, even this year, drive starts are a lot closer, and then the ability to kick field goals from long range, like all that is going to add to more scoring. You know what I mean? And the ability to score quicker. But the thing that I've always thought as far as roster building, like if you have an elite quarterback, then it makes it a lot easier to build the rest of the roster. And now Sam Darnold played in an elite level at times, and especially in that game against the Rams. I mean, if he doesn't play like he did against the Rams, then they don't win the Super Bowl, and they don't win that game. But if you can put an elite team around, then the quarterback doesn't be quite as good. But in that case, you're filling a lot more needs, as opposed to just like, okay, now here's the quarterback. Again, on the flip side of that, the teams with the great quarterbacks, sometimes they feel like they can skimp a little bit too much, and they put too much pressure on those players. And that's what we're talking about, I think, with Lamar, and then as well as Josh Allen. You know what I mean? That's been some of the criticism in those situations. And then obviously there's a money side of it too, both cap and cash. You know, like these guys, I mean, Lamar's going to get an extension, like he's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league, and then, you know, Josh Allen's going to want to be paid more, and then they got to make that fit, number one, under the cap, but then the owner, you know, and some owners are more, and you don't have that issue in Baltimore. I don't think they have that issue in Buffalo, but like, as far as some of the owners aren't as willing to spend that much money, you know, maybe on one player here or there, but not on the full team to make it fit under the cap. A lot of times it's a cash problem more than it's a cap problem. So, yeah, I think it is. I think you got to be good, solid on both sides of the ball. I mean, you know, like we said, Baltimore, whatever they started 1-4 or whatever, I think they're averaging 36 points a game in those games. Like, you should be better than 1-4 if you're averaging 36 points a game. That's an extreme example, you know.
Yeah, and real fast, actually, just because of something you just said, how has in your mind, the new kickoff rules and just field position changing in general, to where it's a lot shorter fields? How has that changed the, I guess, perception or maybe analytics or thought process for going for it on fourth down, going for it instead of taking the field goal? How has that changed that kind of layout?
Well, it's changed a little bit just because as far as where drive starts. So drive start, I mean, you get a touchback, you're getting the ball on the 35. Like, yeah. I think average drive start was something around like the 32-yard line, which is the furthest out it's ever been. And then the fact that the kickers get the balls, you know, a couple weeks in advance, and they can manipulate them. Now you're talking about, you know, 58-yard field goals are like pretty routine at this point. So you don't have to go far to at least just get in field goal range. And we saw a lot of that, like in end of game situations. But like scoring was up in the league, but yards per game was down. And I actually talked to Dan Orlowski about this on the field before the Monday night game mid-season. I'm like, yeah, Dan, like the yards per game are down because everyone starts the ball on the 35-yard line. You only have 65 yards. And yards per game, the difference between like the number 8 team in the league and the number like 19 team in the league is like 12 yards a game. You know what I mean? So like that little difference makes a big deal, especially from year to year. So I think teams are getting the ball closer to midfield. So they want to go for a fourth down. Obviously, people are being more and more aggressive on fourth down over the years, and that kickoff rule has something to do with that. I think it has a lot to do with why the yards per game are down and why the points per game are up. You don't have as far to go, you know, to score.
Yeah, well, and I think I remember a game early on. Speaking of the Seahawks, I think the Cardinals tied it late, and they got the ball to start at like the 35 or 40-yard line.
Cardinals. Ryland kicked it out of
bounds. Or even just the field position. And then they were one big catch away from being in position, and they got it. JSN made a play, and they had a walk-off field goal. So, like,
I got the Rivers jersey right here. When he came out of retirement, they played the Seahawks, and they kicked like a 58-yard field goal to take the lead with 42 seconds left. And the Seahawks get the ball in the 35 and then they kick a 60-yarder to win. Like it's crazy. I don't know if that was the game you're talking about, because I think it happened a couple other times to him as well.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was Seattle all over again. So it happened earlier. Yeah. I forgot about that with Rivers.
Right.
Which, by the way, seeing Rivers come back, you know, that was pretty electric. And
dude, it was awesome, man. Especially, I mean, he played for my dad for 6 years. Like, we got a really good relationship with him, and just to see him do that, and just like obviously playing the game. I mean, he could throw it, but not like he used to, and just he played the game totally with his mind. You know what I mean? And just being able to see that was really cool.
Yeah, he came out of retirement. I think he then cashed some more health care on top of it, which is pretty electric on that front.
Right.
Has to reset it. The Hall of Fame has to reset now as well.
Yeah, right.
I guess that's Yeah.
Yeah.
You get another
He-
opportunity to go be an NFL quarterback. I mean, hell
Right.
yeah, man. Like
yeah.
he was always fun to watch. Do you have, before I let you go, you got a favorite Philip Rivers story? Sean Merriman told us one back in the day when they played against each other in college. Said no one talked as much smack as Rivers did. And then they became teammates. But do you have something that maybe just sticks out to you as just Philip as a guy, or something that you watch?
Well, I was out of, I was like out of college, and I started coaching when my dad was there. So I wasn't like around them on like a day-to-day basis in the locker room.
Yeah.
I got to know him when I would come visit or whatever. And my season was over. So I don't know. I don't have any really good stories that way. The only thing I will say is Sean Merriman's 100% correct. Like, he is the absolute biggest trash talker. But the funny thing about it is he never cusses. So it's all like clean and like in his accent, and like, but he's so quick witted, and like, I mean, it's classic.
Gosh, he is 101. And I'm really curious to see if, maybe down the road he gets into the NFL coaching carousel. So
no, his son just committed to NC State. His son's one of the top quarterbacks in the country, and so I know he's enjoying coaching him down there. They're in right out the Fairhope, like right outside of Mobile, Alabama. So he, he's coaching down there. I mean, obviously he interviewed with the Bills, but we'll see. I bet he'll pop up at some point.
Hey, you know what? I would. I'm really curious to see what happens. It'll be really interesting. Well, Scott, I appreciate your time. Where can people check in on you, on what's going on with you, or anything you want people to know about?
No, I mean, I'm on X. It's just at Scott Turner, just my name, at Scott Turner. And I've been, had a little bit more time on my hands. So I've been on there a little bit more recently. I kind of come and go. And then the other one is my sister and my dad. They started a podcast, and it's called the Family Business with Norv and Stephanie Turner. So talk about football. I think they're just finished. They're going to take a little break. I think they did about 20 episodes. I was a guest one time, but they had Philip as a guest, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Jimmy Johnson, a lot of really good guests telling some old stories. And it's on YouTube, but it's also anywhere you get your podcasts, like Apple or Spotify or anything like that. So I think people that are football fans will really enjoy that. So the Family Business with Norv and Stephanie Turner. Awesome.
Well, Scott, I appreciate you. I look forward to next time we have you on to talk about, well, there should be some more news and things going on. And I look forward to some more similarities that we can discuss in the future.
Yeah. This is fun. Anytime. And I still root for the Orioles. So we'll see. Looks like they got a shot this year,
Hey, you want to come to Baltimore for a game? You just let us know,
Yeah, I might do that. We've got to see where the future holds. I'm trying to see what I can get on with somebody here. But if I'm out here on the East Coast, I might come down. It's not too far.
Well, hey, open invitation. And in the meantime, we'll bug you again, have you come back on and talk some ball. All right.
Awesome.
All right, Scott, appreciate you. Have a great day. Scott Turner, everybody. There's a lot that I can feel that I can relate with Scott. That's why I always ask those parts to start, where the journey of where it goes and how you get into it. And I swear, especially with when you go further along, you think about things. I guess I think about things more because it's never just as simple as, how you think it goes. And he's worked his way, and obviously his family has the lineage in football. But I loved his insight on the game. Thought it was very interesting. A couple things, Zach. One, the Ravens being under center more.
Yeah.
Which I'm really curious about. And obviously that he believes Lamar, best of the best, in a very talented group. So if you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live Monday through Friday right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And you can listen on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Zach.
Ryan.
You okay?
No, actually, that was a fantastic. I loved hearing his takes on all that. Especially, I mean, we've talked to some people, obviously Dan Orlovsky as well. Just it does feel like the NFL is very different now, and I liked his take on kind of how the kickoff has impacted so much. Like, it's not just like they did it to for the safety and everything. Like, if they kick it through the back of the end zone, it doesn't hit first. I mean, I think it's the 30. Like, it is definitely, I think it has changed the way that coaches also view the NFL from an offensive standpoint of just aggressiveness. So really, really cool.
The times, they've been a changing, especially it's across all sports, but you're right. Just the NFL and the rules that they have, that changes things. And we've seen the rules change then over on the baseball side, which this year there are some more changes. ABS systems coming into place at the big league level. They had the pitch clock introduced years back now. And so you're seeing different elements, and also just the way that the game is maybe played is slightly different than what was prioritized, in the last 5 years, 10 years than it is now. And the same thing can be said with the NFL. But that's great football talk. And I know a lot of people want to talk baseball. Sports, spring training keeps going. I think the Orioles, they're back in the win column, Zach. How about that?
Yeah, good for them. Good for them. It was a fun first inning, I think. I mean, obviously, I think they scored 6.
Only
in
6.
the first. So, yeah, it's going to be should be a fun season.
Should be a fun season. There's a lot of positive buzz around the team. Not obviously the news with Westberg and Jackson being out. That's the downer. That's the unfortunate part of this. But the buzz has been around some of the new pieces. And we've talked in the past about Craig Albernez. We've talked in the past about them acquiring Taylor Ward. But still, the main name, Zach, has been all about Polar Bear Pete Alonso. And it's been really great to see his character come into play, not just him as a player, his character. And I'm not talking about how he seems to be a fun guy to be around. That is some character traits, but I'm talking about the character which brings the team together. And he was with MLB Network earlier today, right?
Yeah.
And he was talking with them about embracing this role as being the new kind of face and leader of the Baltimore Orioles. So let's play that clip for you.
A few minutes with Pete Alonso before he has a bunting competition is what you just told us. And let's see what I say. How many bunts you getting?
How many bunts you getting down this year? I'm in it. Well, in season, probably 0, but I'm if we're in a competition, I'm going to try and win it. So.
You're ready to go.
Yes.
2 games, 2 home runs. You're good in an Orioles uniform. Everyone said that you're the voice already in camp. How have you been able to kind of be that voice so quickly, Pete?
We have a really special group, and I feel like for me, like being able to just communicate with the guys is really important. And just for me, like I just want to share my experience when I can. Like experience is valuable, and this group is really talented, and I would just want to help out the best I can.
Everybody that I've talked to so far has talked about your impact, like right away. So we know you're bringing that leadership ability here to the team. You personally, when I look at all the numbers last year, the one that stands out to me the most is the career high 170 hits. And it seemed like from the get-go, you were locked in on showing the entire world, I'm more than just a slugger. I'm a complete hitter. For you to make that adjustment last year, is that something that was intentional or something that just naturally happened?
I think it's a little bit of both. And for me, I think it's not just wanting to be a hitter, it's just wanting to win at bats, just be consistent. If I'm getting a pitch over the middle of the plate, I want to be able to capitalize on it and push it hard between the lines. And not missing those pitches or not being too passive or over swinging. I just want to be able to get my pitch, and once it shows up, just capitalize. And I want to do that every single time a ball shows up into the heart of the dish.
So Polar Bear Pete, a lot of praise. And I love the first part saying they got a bunting competition. And that's definitely, you can tell with Albie and with the hitting staff, Dustin Lind, of what they're trying to create fun competition. But you can just tell the personality, Zach. This is what I'm talking about, character. He's embracing this. And I think that above anything else is going to have such a big importance for this ball club, because we know that he's going to go out there and perform. He always has, right? Knocking on wood, unless he gets injured, he's going to go out there and make impacts at the plate. But it's that other element. He takes pride of being here. He takes pride of embracing what the Orioles need him to be on and off the field. And also, he's been challenged throughout his time in Major League Baseball. And even you can look at the Mets situation, and Darryl Strawberry, I think, had comments recently saying, well, Pete's going to regret not staying with the Mets or leaving the Mets. Well, the Mets never offered him a contract to stay from what the reports that we've seen. But secondly, you want to go to a place that you feel is going to appreciate you for what you've given. And so far, what have people talked about with Pete Alonso over the last few years? It's that they're waiting for the fall off, that Pete's going to not be worth the money. Well, he's not going to be a first baseman for a long time. Well, he's just going to have this downtick in offensive production, right? Whatever it may be, they're waiting for it. And you know what Pete's done through the entire time? He's continued to play at a high level again and again and again. And you can tell the tough moments don't bother him anymore. At least he's not showing it, and he's not letting that impact him. And I think that is going to rub off on the other players on the team. And also, I think it's a philosophy of we're going to have fun, but we got work to do. And I'm here to embrace that whole experience with this group.
Yeah, and I think, it starts with that bunting competition and the fact of, like, as he goes, he's like, I'm not going to probably put any down this regular season, but hey, you give me some competition, I'm going to go out there and try to win it. And I think that's the mindset that this team really needs. And I think that's the leadership coming through. As you just pointed out, being in New York, he was in a lot of situations on a lot of teams that, one, failed, and then two, they failed in a very big spotlight in New York. They felt the pressure. He knows what it's like to be there, to come up in a massive moment, be the hero, but also then all of a sudden be the guy that people blame. And I think he takes all those experiences and it really gives him the upper hand in this clubhouse of showing guys, hey, I've been there. I've done that. Here's how we get back. Here's how we are going to take those steps forward. I think between Albie and him, I think the leadership in the clubhouse is really taking a step forward. And I think it does start with Pete in those kind of competitions, even though, hey, I'll say this. I don't know if I want Pete Alonso dropping any bunts down during the season, but it's that camaraderie of, hey, if we're competing, I might be the power hitter here, but I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try to win this thing, and I'm going to do everything I can to win. That's the mindset that can be infectious.
And also, just on that bunt competition, I love the fact that they're having a bunt competition. Why? Keep working on the little parts of the game. Yeah, you're right. Would I like Pete Alonso to swing away? Absolutely. Every time I want him to swing the bat. But in the odd chance that we don't plan for it, but he has to, you want everyone on your team to be able to do it. And that's the emphasis on the small things here. It's those little things throughout camp and little things throughout the game that make the difference. And it might seem stupid. It might seem silly to some. But I'm telling you, that right there, that shit's going to matter. Because you know when it matters? When you're in the biggest moments. And in the biggest moments, it's not always the team that can hit the home run. It's the team that has to get the one bunt down to make the play. Or the one team that a ball's hit to you, a tough play, or maybe a moderately tough play, and you got to make a tough decision, and you can get the out. And what I mean by those moderate tough plays, Zach, I'm talking about on the defensive side. When you get a bunt down, do you know how to then where you're throwing the ball to? Are your bunt plays refined? This is all happening in spring training. And yes, it should be in good fun, but it should be emphasized because you can't really practice this when the season gets going. Yeah, you can go out to the practice field, but it's not the same. This is dedicated time to work together as a group, as a unit that is really unrivaled throughout the rest of the season. Mm-hmm. It's 6 weeks to get the best idea of your team and 6 weeks to get this nucleus working in the right direction to be ready for the 162. It's a season in itself. It's relaxed. It should be fun. Spring training to me is one of the best times of the year. I love it. Always loved it as a player.
Yeah.
It's relaxed, but it is extremely vital to a team's success. Not that you have to go out down there and have success, but you're building the foundation of what you want your team to be, and it starts right now.
Yeah, and I mean it starts with day 2. Alvarez has the guys out there and they're going through situational hitting. Okay, guys on second and third, how are we doing this? Okay, now this guy's up. Okay, now live BP, we're doing this situation. And they asked him about, and he talked about changing the mindset. And it does start in spring training. It's so that, I mean, hell, Buck Showalter, went off about it. He's like, I'll turn on the TV and it's the first, few weeks of the season, or hell, it could be a few weeks, few months in, and they don't run, a rundown correctly. Someone's out of place. They don't do, someone misses the cutoff. Someone doesn't know where to throw it in this. It's like, what did you do all spring training? Because as you said, that's the foundation for your season. That's the fundamentals. It's hard to just suddenly in August be like, okay, we're going to be a good fundamentally sound team. Like, that's hard to do. You have to do it early in spring. You have to engrave that in everyone, and then you can go from there, because once it starts, I mean, it's hard to stop.
It is hard to stop. No doubt about it. A lot of things to be excited about during this spring. And then in a couple weeks, or less than 2 weeks now, World Baseball Classic is going to start. And that's even more important because your team's not all going to be there, by the way. There are a few Orioles, as well as teams or other players around Major League Baseball, that have to go and play in the World Baseball Classic, and that's going to be a great experience for them. But that even emphasizes right now, these reps are very important. And not just in Baltimore, all around camps. But since we are in Baltimore, give you a little update. Kobe Mayo had a hell of a game. 2 for 4, Zach. Good for him. Sammy Basayo, 1 for 3. How about Tavares leading off? Had 3 knocks, dude. This guy is a World Series champion if we want to go back. And then Ike Irish coming off the bench. One of the top picks for the Orioles last year. I'm really excited to see what he can do in the minors. I expect some big things. And when we move forward into camp and forward towards the season, we can take a look at some of these top prospects, not just in Baltimore, but around Major League Baseball, that you should be familiar with. Am I right?
Yeah.
Or am I right?
I'd say you're right. It's going to be fun. I'm excited, like you said, to see how these guys perform in a first full season, the most recent draft picks. It's going to be, I mean, Orioles got some depth in the farm system, top to bottom, and just kind of another year of seeing how it progresses is going to be fun.
No doubt. You know what's fun? Seeing Ryan Helsley in an Orioles uniform. Excited to see him. Had a scoreless frame. Grant Wolfram still going out there slinging it, dude. 1 inning pitch, no earned runs, 2 punchies. And how about Chase McDermott? 1 inning, 3 Ks. That's pretty nice. I'm a big McDermott fan. I can talk more about his delivery and windup. I was watching it a lot when I was doing the game on Saturday.
I think he pitched.
Yeah, really like it. There's a lot of things to be excited about, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate that, and we appreciate all of you. If you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. And yes, we are going to have a lot of baseball talk throughout this year, and sometimes we're going to have more on shows than others. But don't worry. We got to cover everything, but we do have some great baseball guests lined up for you in the future. Am I missing anything specifically, Zach?
No, I think we hit on what we wanted to.
But you don't want to wish happy birthday to one of the legends of the game?
Yeah, happy birthday, Eddie Murray.
Happy birthday, Big Ed. 70th birthday for Big Ed. One of the best, not just in Orioles history, but in baseball history. Arguably the best switch hitter, but some people can make the case other places, but he's in that category. One of the few players that had over 500 home runs and 3,000 hits, and a World Series champion. Always is fun. Sometimes can be crazy, but you know what? That's Ed. That's just the way he is. So happy birthday to Big Ed. 70th, man. It's crazy. Known that man since I was born, Zach. Hope you have the best day, Eddie. And look forward to having you back in the studio here. Sports. Anything else?
Ryan Helsley added a splitter. That's cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that'll be.
Have to look at that a little bit more.
Yeah, that'll be fun to keep track of as spring continues. But yeah, I think that might be it.
That might be it. Well, if that's and also maybe tomorrow we'll save that of the new Gavin Sheets shirts are apparently they're big.
We'll have to.
I've asked Gavin. I will buy every single one from Jackson Merrill. Every single one.
Yeah, we got to talk about that tomorrow.
Like it's not the shirt that we wanted. It's the shirt that we needed. And I think it best represents the Padres might win the whole thing if they wear that shirt all year round, or at least represent the National League.
Yeah, I was going to say that should be it.
Should be it. They have the blueprint, some blueprint and imprint. Gavin left a mark
Big imprint
on that organization. We'll leave it at that. Okay. Cue the music. As always, here on the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night, have a great stinking rest of your Tuesday, then come back and join us again to do it all over right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. Ryan Ripken Show. See you tomorrow.